from last season on the line. West Devils joining them on the park now. It's their premiership defence on the line. Johnny, the stakes, they don't get higher.
No, they don't, Mitch. Good to be here. I tell you what, you send shivers up my spine then. The pre-game talk is happening. Look, two of the best teams in this competition. Colley's through to the big dance next week. One of these teams will face Collegians next week. It's the grand final rematch from last year.
And Johnny, a lot of inclusions, a lot of exclusions. We can throw all the tips and the form guide out the window. Can you try to run us through and make sense of what sides both teams are putting out there?
I'll go through it quick, Mitch. At fullback, we've just been told Tony Pello into the starting side, so we'll see him in the 21 on his back. The wingers are now going to be Reece Hambry, Lachlan Hurst. Michael Appleby will go to the bench. Colby Pello, Mitch Porter in the centres. Justin Rodriguez will halve partner with Zach Green. The front row, Zach Blay and Dylan Laurie. The back row, Will Tamari, Joseph Dixon, Kyle Lodge, Kieran Rankmore, Marty Cramp. And for the Thirroul Butchers, Hayden Crosland at fullback. Aaron Shop into the starting side. He will partner Tommy Simpson on the wings. Wayne Dargan and Callum Tatauer in the centres. The halves, Ryan Fletcher, Jake Walsh. The front row, Joel Ruskin and Michael Henderson in the starting side. Number 9, Joel Johnson and the skipper. The back row, Luke Dodge, Luke Gallagher, Michael Morris back into the fold. And then on the bench we have Jack Noble, Ben Fulton, Ethan George, Riley Lord, Ryan Jackson to referee the game.
And there you go, Johnny. We'll go over some of the big ins, the big outs, as the game wears on, but that's a very, very good opening set there from the Devils and probably from the Butchers as well, really muscling up in defence. And is that man Hayden Crosland one of the absentees you spoke about? Blake Higgins not there at the back, and Hayden Crosland been a serviceable winger, leading try scorer in the comp on the wing, Johnny. He's got the number 1 on his back.
Yeah, deservingly so. He's been good, Hayden Crosland, and with Higgins out, Coach Jared Costello, he had to find someone to fill that role, and he's been reliable, Crosland, this season.
Reliable is the word you'd put in him, I think. Exactly how he is as Dodge now taking up over the 20. As we said, form guys can get thrown out the window. Ruskin take it up towards the 40. Now, the pass going in behind Walsh, kicking from inside his own 40. It's a good one, but Tony Pello reads it well. And he looks like he's really willing to stretch out on that leg. Johnny, we saw him go down with the hamstring injury in their last clash with Thirroul 3 weeks ago at Parish Park behind us, and you always wonder how he's going to pull up from that. A fair bit of security there in the man with the footy. Reece Hambry playing out there on the wing, but we'll watch it with interest as it goes on. Lachlan Hurst now taking it up over halfway. Fairly handy performance at fullback in the minor semi as well, that man. As we see Dylan Laurie now taking it up over the 40. Martin at dummy half. Blay at first receiver. Finds Rodriguez. Flat ball there for Dixon, and that's a big shot front on, although he wears it well, the young man. A lock for Rookie of the Year honours Joe Dixon, but he wore that there from Luke Dodge. Anything but a rookie. And now it is Crosland coming forward. It's got to be a tough night at the back, Johnny. It's a great complex, this one, but those lights, they're hardly... You know, you're hardly playing at ANZ Stadium, are you? They're a bit dull. It's going to be a tough night for the men at the back.
It's going to be a tough night for the back five from both sides. And also, as the night goes on, a little bit of dewy conditions, so it's going to be a bit slippery underfoot. But look, with this Thirroul side, I'm loving the inclusion of Aaron Shop onto the wing. He's going to be a metre eater, him and Tom Simpson, out of the Butchers' own area.
We see some attack already from the Butchers. And not evident on your screens, but it's actually... very, very still. No breeze whatsoever to talk about. The trees in the background there, they're not moving. That's a good kick. Coming down and going for it, Lachlan Hurst. He reels it in close to the sideline. He had to as well. And Tatauer with some good contact with Shop, and that's a good set, Johnny.
That's a great set there from the Butchers. The kick chase, absolutely perfect there, and Callum Tatauer and Aaron Shop really up in the grill of Lockie Hurst.
If there's one thing we've been critical of with the Butchers, particularly in that major semi-final, it was lazy kick chase. So that's something that Jared Costello's picked up on, obviously, and put the message on the whiteboard. The Devils now through Laurie, heavily involved early on. Met there by Henderson, who's got a start, his first start of the year. Hendo, as we see now, Martin just probing in around the ruck, getting a carry nice and early in this one. Pello at dummy half, and now it's Green, and he's under pressure there from Morris. He comes back towards the middle. It takes a deflection. That'll be all onside. And there it is. We saw there, Johnny, on Justin Rodriguez' first kiss, Luke George all over him. And then there, Mick Morris, the man who hasn't played a lot of footy this year, he got right out on Zach Green there, forced him in field, a poor kick.
It'd have to be on the tip sheet for Jared Costello today to get up into Zach Green's kicking game. And there we see the first penalty of the game awarded to the Butchers. But the pace of this game early, Mitch, this is the fifth set we've seen from these sides, and we're just into 4 minutes of this game.
Yeah, I think they're both relieved maybe to see the young go up just for a stoppage, but the Devils, they'll be under the pump. Clever work there from Joel Johnson at dummy half. We know how smart he can be as they put that ball. That'll be a fetch for the ball boys there. We haven't got our lonely fan over there behind the fence this time. Hopefully he saved up the money to pay his way in.
A beer baron gave him a pass.
Beer baron, I hope so. Well, no, he's stingy. You're not going to get the pass out of the baron. He'd have to go elsewhere. As Morris, now he'll take a settler. Such a huge inclusion is Morris. Johnson, second man now for Walsh. Back on the inside for Gallagher. Gallagher's 9 metres out. Johnson now flat ball there for Ruskin. Johnson, flat ball there. And that'll be the opening try straight away. I think it was tough to see on the spin. Who got across there? I didn't see the number, Johnny.
No, neither did I.
It was a very good spin. They beat all of us.
Whoever it was an absolute great pill there from Joel Johnson out of acting half. It was a flat ball there straight on the chest.
I tend to think it was Michael Henderson.
Well, I thought at first it was Hendo, and he's getting the high fives everywhere, so let's give it to Hendo, and it is. Michael Henderson scored the try.
No, Michael Morris.
Our
man Gary Harlow's given it to, and I think that's who it was. He looked a bit small there for Hendo, so Michael Morris just taking the settler there before that one.
What about the ball from Jono?
It was straight away in the start. They talk so much about the start within the Butchers camp. They've got it right in a lot of games. Their challenging period has been after points typically, and goes either side of half time. That's been the lapse moments for the Butchers, so I'm sure they'll be all over that. But another red hot start. 6 minutes in, they grabbed the first try. And an indication, Johnny, of how important discipline will be. That penalty marched up the park and made them pay straight away.
Yeah, they sure did. You can't give either of these sides the opportunity to march down the paddock, because as we've seen just then from the Butchers, they can hurt you on the scoreboard. And there we go, Mick Morris back in Butchers' colours. It's been a few weeks since we've seen him grace the field, Mitch. I tell you what, he does not look like he's missed any football.
I think he stays in pretty good nick, mate. I think he can still run some marathons, I think. So Green with the tee, he will get us back underway in just a moment. You tend to think important that, Johnny, for the Butchers. They come in there, could be a little bit of heads down, a little bit battered from that major semi-final coming off that defeat, but to get off to a good start, and I've absolutely put the mock on there. Jake Walsh has made an absolute meal of that. In his defence, I think he lost his footing there, but he went all around that, and that is an absolute Barry Crocker he's had there at the back.
He sure did.
Walsh, he's been pretty on point so far. His 2 kicks, looking at those 40-20s, he's looked really on. Walshy, but that one, the rugby league baller can bounce in cruel ways.
Oh. And there we go. It just goes to show that the dew on the field that we're starting to see as the night continues in, it's only going to get worse underfoot.
It's probably also not a night for the screw-ins either, so we'll probably see a few guys lose their footing, but it won't quite be as Pello there. Look, he's not looking hampered. It's not playing on his mind anyway.
No,
he's still running with plenty of venom, Tony Pello, as Dill Laurie doing that as well, pushing his way up towards the try line. He'll play just a metre out. Nice depth here from Green, but he's spilt that as well. And Zach Green, well, he's just, as I said, he was standing nice and deep and probably had a bit of space in front of him and just took a bit of a bow peep at it. And he spills that one, Johnny, lets the Butchers off the hook.
The most relieved man on the paddock is Jake Walsh at the moment.
I think maybe Jared Costello, but Jake Walsh is in the final.
But Zach Green there, just taking his eye off the ball momentarily there and coming up with the error.
I was driving in here and I saw Jacko just heading into Red Dog on the green. I don't know if it was for a sneaky settler or what it was. How could you blame a bloke? There's a lot on the line.
Scotch on the rocks or something.
Oh, and now we've seen it straight away off the scrum. Tommy Simpson has spilt that absolutely cold as a spud, and just like that, the Devils right back on the attack. So both sides, as much as it was a frantic start, Johnny, taking their eye off the footy here, both sides.
I'm just looking for a panel missing out of the dugout of the bench here, of the Thirroul bench after that. They got let off the hook there and they've just come up with an error. Tom Simpson, we know he's got a couple in his game. For his sake and the Butchers, let's hope that's the only one.
It was like they'd been thrown a life vest and they threw it back into the boat from the water there, the Butchers. Now it's Pello and he loses his footing there too. You can see that red tape on that hamstring. And now Dylan Laurie, geez, he's racking up the carries early on. which you'd expect from him. Met there by Henderson. He'll play it 5 metres out. Rodriguez. Second man some space there. Nice tip on there from Pello. Porter. Hambry. And he was just overrun. His runner there, Reece Hambry. He's probably used to chiming in from fullback or 5'8". Wouldn't have played a whole lot on the wing and just overran Mitchy Porter there a little bit. Tommy Simpson making good on his error there and denying him the try.
Yeah, good one-on-one effort there from Tom Simpson. It's going to be a good matchup over on that side between him and Reece Hambry. But we talked about it, Mitch, in the podcast. We've talked about it the last couple of weeks. It's the first time that West are going to have a lot of their big guns back, and it doesn't look like it's running as smooth as what we thought, does it?
Yeah, it is early days. We're 10 minutes in, but I saw, Johnny, when you were reading out the inclusions, the exclusions, and where everyone was going to fit. We sort of went a little bit cross-eyed, didn't we, trying to make sense of it. I'm glad it's Pete McLeod's task and not ours. But you could have the worst task if you're trying to find blokes. So
yeah.
They'll still be very confident, but certainly some moving parts they'll need to get all moving in the same direction as Morris, the try scorer, now takes it up over halfway. And he's dumped on his back there. Kieran Rankmore, himself a huge inclusion. We see Fletcher. And Dargan, he's gone straight into clear. He's got support on the inside in Johnson. And he's got on the outside to Simpson. Simpson scores in the corner. I thought he'd gone the wrong way there, Johnny. He had Joel Johnson looming on the inside. But Tommy Simpson, well, he had the error down here cold as a spud. He saved a try at one end, scores one at the other. We'll say he's back in the good books.
He's back. Tommy Simpson, great work there. I was the same as you. I thought Dargan was going to look inside and go to Joel Johnson. He went the other way. It was a flat ball under the chest of Simpson. Still had work to do. Goes over in the corner. And the Butchers get 2 early tries. Well, after a couple of mistakes early, we're just seeing once they go to that side of the field there, which I like to see, they usually predominantly go to Jake Walsh's side, but the more they go to Ryan Fletcher and Dargan, I think you're going to see it open up.
Well, I think Ryan Fletcher in the major semi-final last week, Butcher's best by quite a margin in the end. I thought he was outstanding in that game, and just some early space there for Dargan. He went straight past Porter on that side, which you rarely see, and I think got to give him a bit of credit as well, Johnny. We thought maybe he was bombing a try, not going to Johnson. He probably had a pretty good view of Lachlan Hurst, the winger from this side, was looming up on the outside of Johnson. So look to the outside, and there was Tommy Simpson.
Good to see Dargan go through. Like last week, he got owned at times.
He really did, yeah. It was a tough game for him that
just from that line he's run there, he run it with a lot more purpose, and we seen just then he broke through, he run with purpose. Let's hope that for the Thirroul Butchers' sake that Dargan does that all game. But look, they look a little bit shell-shocked on that other side here at the Devils at the moment. 2 early points. When was the last time we've seen the Devils leak 2 early tries?
And are we seeing, Johnny, it's the question you ask, are we seeing the week off at work? Because it can be what happens when you haven't had the regular footy. The Butchers, they're coming off what was a brutal game, as we know, but they finished that game very, very strongly. We're coming home with a wet sail in that one. It looks like they've just picked up momentum and run with it here. The Devils still looking for theirs, and already we can see what's pleasing, certainly from the Thirroul fan perspective, would be how straight they're playing already. We've seen Morris go over next to the post, close to the ruck, which is something they left till about the 65th minute last week to do, and now we've seen Dargan on a straight run go through as well. So no secrets about where they're going to try to get their joy as Henderson gets that one back. Hayden Crosland reels the kick in nicely. Jake Walsh, he swapped positions there, I think. Johnson at dummy half after that carry from Tatawa. Now it's the Gladiator, Luke Gallagher. He's up towards the 30. And Ruskin, that's a good carry from the veteran. I'm just checking it is Joel Ruskin and not Damien Sheridan, because I know he had a broken wrist. We're just checking it's not a bit of a fine cotton situation, but it certainly looks like Rusco.
Well, Hamo last week was giving Ruskin the statue calls.
There we go, as Crosland now as well, just poking through. And Johnson, one marker, he's going to go. Fletcher. And it's a deflection now to be play on for Morris. He'll be hoping that sits up in the in goal. I think it's going to as well. Pello under pressure. But they're going to call it back and say accidental offside, I think, is the call. And so it will be a change over. And we saw there was the one marker, Johnny, and Joel Johnson. He'll go 9 times out of 10 on that occasion. But you just sense maybe it was just the time to go to first receiver and get the kick in, because it just crowded in for kick Ryan Fletcher, not the kick they would have been looking for. And ultimately ends up being a changeover back on the 20.
Changeover, bring it back, but Jono's so good at picking that time to run, you can't blame him when he only sees one marker, because we know how good he is.
And you said through the week, Johnny, you thought he left his run a little bit too late, so good to see him heavily involved early on Perhaps he was listening.
Well, he's going to be heavily involved. He announced during the week this is his last season with the Butchers.
There it is.
So,
he
look,
confirmed it.
he wants to really put a big showing here today, and wouldn't he love to be there next week?
There's Zach Blay. Nice run in behind the ruck there. Geez, Johnny, as we're racking them up, there's storylines all the way across the park here as Pello, he skips to the outside and just pulls up there in front of Walsh making that tackle. Luke Gallagher as well. And it's that man Morris again putting the pressure on Rodriguez. He's put this high into no man's land. Crosland, well, that's a great take from the fullback. And we talked about Higgins. He's been there all year at one, and he can be a big out when you lose your number one. But reliability is the big thing you get out of Crozzo. He's probably not going to have the athleticism or the speed that we see from Higgins, but it's those situations where he shows his value, isn't it?
Well, we've seen him play 6 this season as well, one game. So Jared Costello's opted to use him a couple of positions on the paddock, but he, as we said before, he's just so reliable. He's just goes through his work motionless, doesn't he? He just does the job.
Yeah, I've compared him to the old Steve Turner, the old Manly and Melbourne back. He's always had that look about him as Johnson now at dummy half again, skipping out back on the inside there for Morris. That'll be the last tackle. Walsh, he's going to go high. It'll be a tester for Pello. Crosland coming through. And good work there from Crosland. I think he knew where the footy was, but he made it as difficult to take as he possibly could there for Pello and made sure he didn't give away a penalty either.
There was a nice chase there from Crosland. Just looking at these omissions from this Devils side, do you think they're missing Wade Stanford around the middle of the paddock at the moment?
Early to say, Johnny, but it's said from the very top, a huge out. He's so important to them. Goes unnoticed a lot of the time, but not certainly to us that watch regular footy and certainly not amongst the Devils coaching staff. So him not being there, they're all going to have to lift in that middle part of the park. Martin now on to Colby Pello. He's got that arm, hasn't got the Malmaninga tape on that arm, Johnny, this week. It's a bit smaller by the looks of things. And Shop, well, he catches that on the fingertips. He made that a bit more difficult than it had to be, Johnny, but he reels it in. So he signed with the Bulldogs last week, and a big future he has. Unfortunately, won't be in the Illawarra in the immediate term.
Shame you've got to let go of a local junior, isn't it? But, good luck to Shoppy going forward.
Indeed, we see now Tom Simpson taking up towards the 40. He's a bit worse for wear there, Aaron Shop. He might have just caught one on the back of the head there, and we see the changes already. Johnny, 17 minutes in, Jack Noble into the action, and Michael Henderson earning his first spell. Rankmore coming out looking for a shot there on, I think it was Noble, his first touch. They welcome him onto the park, and Walsh kicking it down in behind. And that's a good kick in behind, just settled things down. I think he would be happy either way if that rolled into touch or if it pulled up and made Tony Pello work it out of there. Johnny, he was just making sure he didn't put it in that end goal and give away the 7-tackle set. Kicking game from Jake Walsh on song early on. On
point it is, isn't it? We've been a little bit critical of Walsh's game the last couple of weeks. But the start
by
of the season,
his lofty standards,
by his, and we talked about it, how much of a big game player Jake Walsh is. Going into last year's grand final, I think that was the 6th grand final in a row for him. He is a big game player. He knows how to play football on the big stage, and we can just see Jake Walsh has switched on today.
So it'll be Green to feed the scrum. We've said it often as well, Johnny. This is the Devils' bread and butter, absorbing early pressure and finding a way to counterpunch, and that's what they'll be looking to do here. And straight away there, Porter skips to the outside. Dodge coming across. He'll be done for pace. And Simpson staying on the outside, and Pello looming in support.
Joel Johnson.
We sort of saw it there. Johnny straight away. Joel Johnson with the covering tackle had to be made.
But the ball from Rodriguez, that out ball.
Just like that, they attack. Whenever they've got the ball in their hands, they're looking to attack. It doesn't matter what the score is or how much pressure they've been under. They look to counterpunch. It's why they're the defending premiers as Rankmore now takes one back towards the post. They'll be in a position for an attacking kick at the end of this set, but not there yet. They come short side now for Green, and he'll roll it onto the toe. Shop going back there, and Shop, no choice but to put that one dead. And we saw a couple of the key men there. Justin Rodriguez putting Mitch Porter away on that side. And then Zach Green on the other side, he gets the kick right, and now it's the Butchers under pressure.
What about Tony Pello there following the ball there? Mitchy Porter went through that hole there. It was a great ball from Rodriguez there on the outside ball. But the way that Pello just moved forward and just that support play, it's something that they've been missing without Tony Pello. If his hamstring is not 100%, well, he's got everyone fooled.
Yeah, indeed he does. but it's what gives them the ace up their sleeve. We've been critical of other sides this year with their support men not being around the footy. We said that about the Butchers last week, how one out they were in a lot of occasions. Never the case for the Devils. Tony Pello there, the greyhound at the back. He's always looming, always looking for his opportunities. We saw that just there as Rankmore, with a head of steam, winds right up into that Kieran Rankmore. No regard for his body or anybody else's.
Zero respect.
And now we see Blay. Flat ball there for Laurie. And we're already seeing Zach Blay some passing there. He's already playing that Wade Stanford-like role, it looks like, Johnny. Zach Blay, the number 8, the redhead. And now Joe Dixon, flat ball there for Porter. Well read, though, on that side by Dargan. Rodriguez back on the inside for Rankmore. Rankmore will play it 7 metres out. Second man now for Green. Tamari back against the grain. Dragged down there by Gallagher. And from close range there, Green getting that one. Takes the deflection and Jake Walsh. He'll end up with the ball, so well diffused there in the end. They were stretched for some numbers. They had some shape thrown and they numbered up well there, Johnny, the Butchers on their line.
Yeah, they sure did. It got a little bit of a deflection there. It could have gone anywhere. A little bit of luck there for the Butchers, I tend to feel, Mitch. But I'm really liking the way that the Devils are throwing this ball around the paddock. They're throwing it around with a lot of purpose, and they're throwing it around like they just want to attack everything at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. They never let you sweat. In the corner, you've always got to be on your game. It's Walsh onto Morris. That's the last tackle, so some slow going in this set for the Butchers. And they'll go in behind again for Walsh, and we wrapped him for his kicking game. He shanked that one slightly, not what he would have been after. Hanbury going back for it, and Pello there, and not much of a chase on it either. And there we can see, that's what he can do to you. We gave him a rap for their chase earlier, Johnny, but that was a poor kick and an even poorer chase.
Doesn't he love seeing a staggered line coming after him? Holes all through it there, and Pello will make you pay.
And that's crept up high there from Gallagher. Just crept up. He just hung the lazy arm out there, the Gladiator. Maybe got done for pace just slightly there by Mitch Porter, who's come all the way in from the right edge there. And looks like he's hobbling a little bit too. I hope he hasn't aggravated that knee injury.
He looks lame on that right leg, doesn't he?
He'll tough it out. We know that Warrialda boys. They're certainly tough. Noel Cleo country. Dylan Laurie now taking it up towards the 20. Martin, Rodriguez. And just got overrun by his outside men there. And Mick Morris making the tackle. Now it's going back the other way for Green. Green crabbing his way back across towards the left of the park. Flat ball there for Pello, but Tatawa all over him there. Rankmore straightening up. Going awfully close to scoring there. Marcus dead ants on the floor. Martin goes to Green, and that's a fantastic take. They'll say high. Ooh. It did creep up. I think a fair penalty, but just had to be made there. They were outnumbered here on this side, and Jake Walsh just coming up and making the tackle, not letting Zach Green breathe there, giving him any option to go to the outside.
He got a little bit wrong-footed there, Walsh, didn't he? He had to put the
He just wasn't letting him past.
No, he had to make the tackle.
And now it's Laurie, 5 metres out. Devils turning it on here. Rodriguez to Pello. Pello flat ball there on that side for Dixon. The shift again, Rodriguez, centre field. Rodriguez, you can't sleep on him, he'll hurt you. He'll play at 8 metres out, Rodriguez. Martin back towards the post. Flat ball there for Blay. Looking to go in the front door. Zach Blay kick it in as he goes. Won't happen. Martin. Rodriguez. Second man Dargan. Some space on the outside. Hanbury goes off his right twice. Good cover there from the Butchers. And it's Kyle Lodge fresh on the park. He ends up with the scraps. Now it's Dixon at dummy half. Rodriguez at first receiver. I'm not sure if they were onside, but that's fallen in the hands of Ruskin. And he almost had a surrender tackle, but great defence again there from the Butchers, Johnny. They looked beaten for all numbers there. Hanbury went off his right foot twice.
That's got to be a huge confidence boost.
And both times there was a man there in cover and they forced the poor kick. And a penalty on the back of it. And there you go. And Jono just giving Colby Pello a bit of a razz there as well. But they're really up to the task there defensively.
Huge effort defensively from the Butchers. Back-to-back sets at their line. They've held it out. They scrambled really well, what was impressive in that defensive set.
And they're just a lot of trust in their defensive line. Devils have thrown a lot of good shape at them. They've looked outnumbered a couple of occasions, but they've held their shape and managed to repel them. The Devils, they'll keep going. And we saw that they almost went to sleep on Rodriguez. He's got a bit of an awkward gait with his run. He's not the quickest halfback you've got going around, but he's got a knack of just catching you unawares if you sleep on him. He almost did that there, Johnny.
It's funny, we don't often see him crab a lot crossfield, do we? See him play direct a fair bit.
It's the feature of his game,
and he's gone across a lot, and he's starting to bamboozle the Butchers. They hung off him then.
Johnson now at dummy half. Walsh, his chance to bamboozle him to Tower. Johnson on to Morris. Morris dummies. Looking to find his front. Joseph Dixon making that tackle. Hint of numbers on that left-hand side. They come back the other way for Riley Lord, and what a step up it's going to have to be for this man, Johnny. Not a mountain of first-grade time this year, Riley Lord, but he was a big part of their side last year. Walsh back towards the post, the trick shot, and that's gone dead on the full. And, well, Johnny, what do they say about if it's not broke?
Exactly right.
Bit too clever there back towards the post. It was actually a pet play Walsh he had with Lee Higgins last year.
They did it well last year.
They used to do it well there, and they were trying to replicate it, but didn't quite get the kick right. And as we said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Would have liked to see that maybe go high or into the in-goal.
Into the in-goal on the short side. Look for that repeat set. But you're right in what you said about Riley Lord, Mitch. A step up for him in today's game. Not much first grade this season. The bench is where the Butchers are going to have to really work overtime, because you look at the bench of the Devils and it has got a lot of class through it. This Butchers side of the bench hasn't seen much first grade this season. The likes of Ethan George, Benny Fulton, Riley Lord, a lot of reserve grade in them boys, but all very, very handy players.
Indeed they are. They'll be looking for their chance. Have been all year, so it comes on the big stage as Rodriguez puts the kick down. That's a good kick too. It'll sit up there for Crosland. He might use Simpson. He does. And Simpson straightening up there. Nice little change of passing from the Devils just to give Rodriguez some space to put that kick in. And it's a clever little adjustment on the run, Johnny. We've seen already how much Morris dodged the pressure they put on the Devils kickers. So a nice little adjustment there just to give himself a cushion and put the good kick in.
Well, sure wasn't. Butchers had just got back on side behind the ruck there. So looks like they've had a bit of gas taken out of them. Both sides would have a lot of gas taken out of them. This has been played at a super pace.
Indeed it has. And it's where we see these things happen, Johnny. We expected the Butchers to start well, taking that momentum from last week, but the Devils are a bit slow to start, but they're fresh. They're going to come home strong at the end of this half. It's going to be a testing time for the Butchers to try to make the most out of this 10-point cushion they do have as Fletcher. That takes a deflection and straight into the arms of Mitch Porter. And so back-to-back last tackle options, not quite getting it right, the Butchers. Dixon now on the 40.
We shouldn't have wrapped their kicking game. Ever since then, it's gone backwards.
Indeed, we should just say nothing ever. It'll be a boring call, though.
But it's been good. The Devils have really been getting up into Walsh's face, into Fletcher's face.
Indeed, Laurie now playing that one on the 30. They come wide now. Green right into line. Dummies, Green. And that's a great tackle by Gallagher, I think it was.
Riley Lord.
No, it was Riley Lord, and we just gave him a wrap. No, they've said, well, Ryan Jackson called a halt to play there. Then he gave a late call to play on. Zach Green very nearly caught them napping there on the line. Bodies all around the footy. You have to think there'll be space out wide here. Pello, the lofted pass for Porter. Dargan, and that's a great tackle from Dargan.
That's a try saver.
Brilliant tackle. And Mitch Porter.
He's lame.
That's that knee we were talking about. It was a bootlace tackle there from Dargan. Mitchy Porter, as he just picked up that knee he was carrying. But a couple of big defensive plays there for the Butchers. Riley Lord, that man we just spoke about, comes across, and you have to think saved a try with that tackle there on Green. And over on that side, Dargan certainly saved a try there on Mitch Porter, who looks in all sorts now on that side.
Well, if he got past Mitch Porter, then he would have gone one-on-one with Tom Simpson. He would have had an unmarked Reece Hambry outside of him. Mitch Porter now to his feet, just trying to walk this one out. And just looking underneath the goalpost, we got the Gladiator. Lukey Gallagher just getting the assistance of Peter McIntyre, the Thirroul physio. But Gallagher's up on his feet, but let's hope Mitch Porter is okay, and he's about to play the ball, Mitch, so that's good signs for both those players.
It'll be an interesting reshuffle if he has to come from the park, Johnny, because they haven't got a whole lot of outside back depth on their bench this afternoon. Green, flat ball there for Pello, a little bit sideways, but again they go back inside. Hurst, he did well there, Hurst. He was getting close to the touchline. Blay. And there's numbers to the right here for the Devils if they go there. Martin. And now Dargan coming in. They were split out that side. Hurst. In fact, it's Hambry on that side. And he just bumped away there. They were shot for numbers. The juice that sucked out Zach Blay right under the post there. And they go wide in Hambry. I think he's been supposedly out there playing on the wing, but he went in and got his hands on the ball there. Crosland, the one-on-one miss. He's hard to stop from that close, Hambry. And he gets the hit back. But still seeing, I'm looking at Mitch Porter walking, Johnny. He still looks in strife. You wonder if it just would be as simple as Hambry moving there. They've got Michael Appleby on the bench. So they do have some cover there, but Mitch Porter will keep an eye on him. Will be Zach Green to attempt the conversion. It's a tough one from out there, Johnny, but we always talk about the prelim finals, the conditions we typically see. The gods have been quite kind tonight. No rain and no wind at all.
Yep.
No wind to speak of at all.
That was it was well worked, that try for the Devils, wasn't it? I really liked how Rodriguez, he went from the one side of the field over onto the other side, and he linked up there with Zach Green, and then with Colby Pello chiming in, it just looked, Tony Pello, it looked absolutely Mickey Mouse. And you're not going to beat Reece Hambry one-on-one 9 times out of 10 that close to the line.
Indeed you won't. It's probably the difference, Johnny, between these top sides. Frustration could have crept in for a lot of sides, and they went that way a lot and were denied, but they got faith in their structures and faith in their systems. They just keep going back to it. It's been the difference between, the likes of your Helensburgh and your Corals this year, their tendency to go away from things if it doesn't work immediately. These sides, top sides, they don't do that. They've got faith in what they do, and especially none more so than the Devils.
Especially West. They stick to their plan, and if it doesn't work, they keep trying and trying and trying until it works. And it's been a feature of their performance in season 2019.
Waved away there, so 6 points remains the margin. 9 minutes to go before half-time. And we're entering that period now, Johnny. It's been the Achilles heel for the Butchers this period leading into half-time. And they are coming off that tough game last week. So
well, they let one in close to half-time last week, didn't they? And
Indeed,
it really put their heads down. And I'm sure the message would be sent out from Jared Costello about that. 9 minutes to go. They're ahead by 6 on the scoreboard. But the Devils, every time they get that ball, they just look so dangerous.
From whichever end they have it at, indeed. There's now Leah Tingaga. He takes it up towards the 20. And now it's Porter, so he's trying to shrug off that injury to that leg. And looks like he's moving pretty freely, so that's a good sign as Blay now getting on the back of his carry. Up towards the 40. Slowish there, they risk a penalty there. The Butchers hanging around in the tackle. Kyle Lodge. Always gives him such an energy lift from the bench, Kyle Lodge. And Martin, he's trying to catch a marker out there, but Johnson, he really gets that wrong. As we see the offload, though, with Pello almost shrugged away from some tackles there. Fletcher making one that had to be made. They'll go to Rodriguez. He's going to try to put the kick in behind, you would think. It's a nice one for Simpson, and Simpson does well. And we have said Tommy Simpson has the odd mistake in him, but this year, as much as he dropped that one cold early in the game, he's really cut a lot of that out of his game this year. It's been something that's made him come on. He's taken
it a lot out of his game, and look, we've rapped him a lot this season about his efforts that he has been for the Thirroul Butchers, the way he gets his team on the front foot, getting out of his own area, but also he's been a lot safer under that high ball. And in these conditions, that ball going along the ground, the greasy ball and everything like that.
That had to be a penalty. I was going to say Leah Tingaga just coming in over the top, and that's a relieving one. That'll be a frustrating one for Pete McLeod. They were under the pump there, the Butchers. Doing it tough as we see. Riley Lord, that was a handy little stint. I don't think he saw the footy at all, Riley Lord.
He did a lot of defence.
Just had to defence, and now Hendo getting back on here with 7 minutes to go.
And Jared Costello seems to be using his bench a lot more today than what we've seen in the last few weeks. Last few weeks, he's really stuck to that 13 that's been on the field and only interchanged his forwards every now and again. But he's rotating today. Probably rotating because of the absence of a few players.
Indeed, he probably has to do that. Damien Sirina not there, obviously, he's a big one. Usually plays the 80, so he's going to have to find some sort of solution there, Costello. As Dodger spilt that straight away. And the boys getting a bit antsy there. This will be a bit of handbags at 10 paces, I think. Not too much in it, but Just the pressure valve just released again there, Johnny. They'd been doing it tough defensively, the Butchers. They were a bit relieved to get some footy back there, but straight away, the mistake from Dodge. And the pressure will go straight back on.
Straight back on, 6.5 till half time. You want to be sending that message out to complete your sets this close to half time, especially when you're in front on the scoreboard. But Tony Pello, he has absolutely impressed me coming back today. He has just been everywhere where that ball is.
Indeed, and forget the hamstring. I think he had a bad case of almost pneumonia. I think he dropped about 3 or 4 kegs in hospital, I believe. He was in really, really bad shape, so he's come back here today and hasn't missed a beat. It's a good effort from the young man at the back.
It's made him quicker losing the kilos, I think.
He couldn't afford to lose any, could he?
No.
He's a whippet as it is, Pello, that plays above his weight every week. Now Tamari. Short side raid there from Tamari. Walsh making that tackle with Gallagher. Now it's Leah Tingaga. Man of the match in the grand final victory last year. Martin. Flat ball there for Lodge. Second man, some numbers. Rodriguez, he had Pello looming in support. He still does. And that is Pello sweeping around. He dummies to the outside. That's a good tackle that had to be made there. They go short side now for Rodriguez. He puts the kick in. It's taken a bit of a deflection. And I think it's Dodgers come up with that. No, Dodgers a dummy half. It's Dargan who's cleaned that up well. And they've done a good job of that so far, the Butchers. They've had some really testing short kicks on the ground and thus far been equal to it. Now Morris. What an effort we see from him in the first half, Johnny. He hasn't played for almost 9 weeks. I think it'll be a long, long time. And he's just come in and it's like he hasn't missed any footy at all.
Absolutely enormous from the Thirroul Butchers lock. Do you reckon the message has been sent out to just complete this one?
Oh, and I think Tatao, he's just ducked under that one from Leah Tingaga. Lucky he did too, and, well, that had to be a penalty, you would think. And now Green going back to it. And, well, Johnny, I think that was a penalty. He went out from marker there, Joel Johnson, and Will Tamari couldn't resist putting a hand on him. He got him away pretty quick, but that's a penalty, isn't it?
Oh, I think it is. Letter of the law it will be, but we'll let it play on. Referee Ryan Jackson, he's the man with the whistle. He's in the better position than what we are.
You don't want to see a whistle-happy half either.
No, he's been good. He's kept it in the pocket.
Indeed he has.
And we have wrapped him a few times this season for his efforts in the middle.
So we see Hurst now taking his way up. And you are right, Johnny. It's been a very free-flowing first half. You can't have that without the man with the whistle doing his bit. And that's a knock on there. Hurst in off the wing. And as much as it's been frantic, Johnny, there's been some mistakes from both sides that have been your little attention to detail mistakes. Both coaches, not a fan of either of those. That'll be top of their sheet when they get in at half-time.
Oh, definitely. It'll be straight in here. I'm just looking over at the bench here and just watching Jarrah Costello absolutely lay the law down to the water runner Mitch Bate. So expect the message coming out very shortly. But the silly errors, it's very unlike Lachlan Hurst to make that mistake while playing the ball. These little errors, is it the semi-final, prelim final sort of atmosphere that the guys are a little bit nervous out there, Mitch? The dewy conditions,
I'm not
grand
sure
final.
If it's nerves, Johnny. I just think it's the fact that it's been so frantic. Both sides trying to play that little bit too quick at times because it's just been that type of game. It's been frantic. It's been end-to-end. I was going to say there, I hope Beto does alternate which side of Jarrah Costello he stands on because he might end up with one ear a little slightly less hearing in the other. Pete McLeod, you'd be sweet. You barely hear boo out of Pete, but Jacko doesn't mind a bit of a spray.
What about that carry there from Mick Henderson?
Walsh now, second man for Fletcher. Some numbers there, Crosland, early ball. Dargan now onto Simpson, but Simpson perhaps wisely coming back in field. Simpson still going. Walsh back on the inside for Crosland. He'll play it 10 metres out. Johnson shapes open, goes short side. Fletcher drops it on. It's taken a bit of a deflection. Mitch Porter dives on it. He might have been forced into the in-goal there. I think he has. So a good end of the set there from Fletcher. I love seeing that from Hayden Crosland, Johnny. He's a guy who really knows his strengths, doesn't he? Just early ball there to Dargan to create the space. Didn't try to overplay it. Just shovels it on. Tommy Simpson a quick play, the ball back infield. And Ryan Fletcher a good kick on the end of the set. And out with 2 minutes to go. It's the Devils who need to absorb the pressure here.
I'm liking the Butchers going to this left-hand side. Fletcher's getting the ball. Dargan's getting the ball. Crosland's chiming in. They're not using their traditionally strength right-hand side at the moment, are they? They're opting to go to that left-hand side.
Gladiator, well, he's dropped that backwards. I think it's gone behind him. Well, I can understand. It's a fair grievance for the Devils fans, I think, Johnny, but I do think it went backwards there.
There's a huge boo across the crowd for that one, isn't there?
Well, they weren't the Butchers fans, put it that way.
No.
They're not that ethical. They're not that dedicated to the game. They want to see those pulled up. Ultimately, I think the right call there, though, from our position. Johnson there now on to Morris. Fletcher, some space on that side again. The lofted ball there, and it just goes into touch. So Ryan Fletcher, I think he had a couple of options available to him there, Johnny, and he got a bit caught between all of them and just ended up lofting the pass. And it goes into touch. So the last opportunity of the half there, you would think, for the Butchers goes begging with 1:15 on the clock.
Yeah, Fletcher, he'd like to have that time over again. Just put it through their hands. We've seen that one lofted over. Unlike Ryan Fletcher, it's not in his game to do that. They're the Butchers. Let that one go, and that'll be the last attempt they'll have at putting points on the board in this first half.
Got the fans coming to us up here, Johnny. They want to be right amongst the action.
Ryan's hotel shirt. We know who he's supporting.
We think you would too. Hambry. Well, you'd be a lonely West fan if you were at the Ryan's Hotel, put it that way. Pello now away from dummy half. 40 seconds left, so the chance to mount one last assault here, the Devils. As we say, they play to the buzzer in every half of football they play. Rodriguez now taking that carry. Just trundles it up like a front rower there, Rodriguez. Martin at dummy half. And now the kick in behind there from Green. Shop going back to field it, and he does well. And so 16 seconds left on the clock here. You would think we won't see too many risks taken in this set from the Butchers. Probably happy to let this one play out. 6-5. So you think this will be just about the last carry of the half there from Tatawa. And the whistle does blow, so that'll be it for the first 40 minutes. A red-hot start there from the Butchers. The Devils, as we're accustomed to seeing, they counter-punch back. 10-4 the score here at half-time. Everything still to be decided in this second 40. We'll be back with all the action from the second stanza in just a little while. Welcome back to Collegians Sporting Complex. We see the Devils making their way back onto the park. As you can also hear there, DJ Gary Harlow still absolutely smashing it with the tunes.
Good tunes tonight he's got, isn't he?
Fantastic. I was here at 12:30 for the women's grand final, and congratulations again to Corrimal. That's 3 in a row. But all day, hasn't missed with the tunes.
A couple of crowd favourites he's been busting out as well.
What do we say before about if it ain't broke?
Don't
need to fix
Don't
it.
fix it.
A few stories have been going in before this one too, Johnny. We mentioned the Corrimal Cougars. 3 straight premierships for them in the women's grade, and Port Kembla, we just saw, they're on the way to the grand final. It was at the expense of the Butchers there, but a club that was on death's door at the start of the season. We thought they'd be buried, as we often call them, the South Sydney of this league. Well, they're back with a vengeance. They're in the reserve grade competition, and they're within reach of a premiership.
The
story's happening absolutely everywhere. That's what you love about this time of year.
It makes your job easier, doesn't it?
It always tosses something up, indeed. Well done indeed to Benny Farrer, to Bugsy Gray and all the boys there, because it was looking pretty dire there, and now it's looking as just about as good as it gets for a side on the rebuild as they are. Who knows, Johnny? It might be the start of maybe us one day calling a prelim final with Port Kembla back in the top flight. Wouldn't that be good to see?
Could be a new dynasty of the Port Kembla Blacks.
I think they'll worry about next week first, but we'll see where that does land as we are back underway. Henderson on the other side of Walsh there. They just almost got a bit tangled up. And Gallagher steamy onto that one. And they'll start this with purpose. Here, the Butchers, they know it's been lapses either side of the half-time have been their Achilles heel.
Interesting they've started with Jack Noble this half, Mitch.
Could be in order to address that, Johnny. They want to really... You've got that 6-point cushion, a good solid 10 to 15 minutes. It really becomes your match to lose from there. It's now Morris, who hasn't had a spell.
I don't think you'll see him on the bench.
Yeah, indeed. I expected to. When he was going to be an inclusion, I thought he'd do a bit of a job and get what he can, but I can't see him getting an early mark now, Johnny, the way it's working out. But what an absolute engine he's got. Couldn't be more impressed with what he's produced thus far. Pello now. Another one who's looking pretty sharp despite a lack of recent footy. It's what you always love about this time of year, Johnny. There's always stories like that, isn't there? Just guys really just putting the body under duress to chase that glory. And now it's Leah Tingaga steaming onto that one, the goose step. I love the little goose step he always has, Johnny, just straight into the line. Brilliant to see. And that was forward, I thought, there from Lodge, the tip on to Blay. But line ball, play on the call, last tackle. Green looking to punch that into the in goal, and it sits up nicely there for Crosland, but a good kick from Green. And now he spilt that, Crosland. Well, we've said so often. I think we've said the word reliable about 5 or 6 times between us describing Hayden Crosland this point, Johnny, but first touch of the second half there, and the ball gets spilt 10 metres out from his own line. And the Devils, a golden opportunity.
Let's put that down to the
pick this league back.
And the kick chase there from the Devils, because Hayden Crosland looked up and he had a wall of red and blue jumpers in front of him. He had to angle his way into someone, and he angled it into 3 of the Devils players, and they absolutely put a big shot on Crosland. This is going to test the Butchers' defence early.
Yeah, indeed. Good kick from Green, and they really got on the back of it there with the chase. Would have been interesting to be a fly on the wall in both sheds, because there'd be some things both coaches would be pretty unhappy with. There'd be other things they'd be thrilled about. It would have been a very left pocket, right pocket type speech from both coaches, you'd imagine.
Just watching Tony Pello float behind the scrum here, Mitch. Let's see where he goes.
I think he was being sold as a big dummy, is what I expected there, but they go to Dixon instead. Martin at dummy half. Back on the inside there for Blay. They'd love to get early points here, the Devils. They're on the pump early on, but now they are really steaming back onto it. Hanbury shifting. Pello. He's got it down too, so there it is. And now we're seeing... I'm not sure what Ryan Jackson's seen here. He hasn't pointed to the spot just yet.
He will.
He definitely got it down, we saw, and perhaps he was just trying to avoid a bit of a scuffle there afterwards. And we saw, that's what we thought we'd see at work. Reece Hambry in off the right wing there, chiming in as a second fullback to the first fullback. And there they go, they get the opening try. Zach Green a chance to level up and make it 10-all very early in this second half.
You'd think it would have been one of the messages that was laid out by Pete McLeod in the shed to get off to a good start, because they were behind on the scoreboard and they seemed to be not up with the Thirroul pace early in that first half from the opening whistle. Now we're seeing this Devils side. We're just listening to Ryan Jackson's talk.
You guys have got the try. We need to take the try away because you've done something silly, okay? Just control it.
So it's just on. Looked like it must have been Colby Pello just carrying on a little bit after the try. So referee Ryan Jackson just pulling Colby Pello aside and Mitch Porter just to let them know no stupid stuff after points.
Unlike the Pello boys to be getting mixed up in that.
But look, a well-orchestrated try there from the Devils, Mitch. As you said, Hambry into the centre of the paddock. Colby Pello looking sharp there with the ball. He's been very good in that first half. Doesn't look like he's missed any rugby league whatsoever. He's just fallen back into this west side like he never left.
Indeed, actually, it is unusual to see Tony Pello involved in that sort of stuff. Colby doesn't mind it, especially when little brother is concerned. And if he thought his little brother there got a bit of treatment, not surprised at all to see Colby go in and just remind people that you don't want doing that to his younger sibling. And it's waved away. And it was a tough one, but a big one in the context. Johnny, as we said, the breeze kind tonight, but that kick not any easier in the context of where it all put it. They're tough. Those ones that are makeable, but they're tough. They're the ones that you win finals games on the back of. We've mentioned it a few times over the last month or so, Johnny. Mitchy Porter, just about as sharp a shooter as I've seen in this league, but with that dodgy knee that he's carrying, not kicking goals.
Not risking.
And I have thought all the way through and wondered if it becomes a factor at any point. And that is the man, Mitch Porter, doing the hard work there. Leah Tingaga, that's a good carry from the number 10. We'll have to be careful not to dump him too hard past the horizontal there to Tower.
He runs like
let him down
genuine
gently.
back rower, Leah Tingaga, at times, doesn't he?
Oh, well, he's done very well there, Tommy Simpson. That's as good as you'll see. He completely lost his feet, got up and still managed to take that catch in the deep.
Sensational.
Very well done there from Tommy Simpson. I was about to say about Nathan Leah Tingaga, I know he's got the 10 on his back, but to me, he's got a whole lot of Matt Utai about him. Remember Matty Utai, the winger for the Bulldogs? He runs like that. He always strikes me as that type of player. Gets through a few more tackles than Matty Utai used to, being in the middle, but just so tough. Gallagher. That pass went behind the intended recipient, but Gallagher picks up the scraps and keeps his side on the attack. Johnson at dummy half. Comes open side there to Morris. Morris, he's edging his way up towards the 30. So in a position for an attacking kick here. They come short side for Fletcher. And well, he's got clipped big there. Kyle Lodge said sorry straight away. But that'll be a penalty. Would have to be, you would think.
He's going to go to where the ball lands.
And look, Kyle Lodge plays it hard and fair, but he's not at all a dirty player. That one just got away from him there, and he was the first bloke there to check on Ryan Fletcher and make sure he was all right. So that's one that just got away from him a little bit, but a penalty, the right call.
Definitely the right call. Definitely the right call. But it gives this chance now to the Butchers to hit back.
It's one of those things we see, Johnny. We asked it last week. Damien Siren, the man on that occasion, and sort of the bit of what erupted in the major semi. Those forwards, as much as you want to put pressure on those kickers, you can just pull out late and just not risk the penalty. Mind you, as a front rower in my day, I always gave the halfback some, so pot, kettles and the colour black all over that. Fletcher, flat ball there for Noble.
Jackie Noble!
That straight over.
I tell you what a hole Jack Noble just run, but what about the ball?
Ryan Fletcher, he held it up beautifully. And this is his play as a 6 this year has been unbelievable, given he's a converted hooker. His main position is number 9, but the way he went right in the line and held that up there for Noble, brilliant. And they're very good defensively on their edges, typically, West, so you're not just going to pick them apart with a trick shot. Jack Noble, he's got the 8 on his back. Looks like he's actually playing out on the edge, or he certainly was on that occasion. And looking down behind the post there, Tony Pello absolutely given the boys a spray about where they were supposed to be, and that's another feature of his game that's very much underrated. His ability to direct traffic of where defenders need to be is top-notch, and by the look of his reaction there, he didn't quite get or have the troops where he wanted them to be. And Kyle Lodge, we just see him getting a spell now after that one. Dylan Laurie coming into the action.
Points after a penalty again. The first try to the Butchers today was on the back end of a penalty. Their first try in this second half, now on the back end of a penalty. But look, Ryan Fletcher, you can't praise him enough for his efforts this season. We've talked about how good Jake Walsh has been on one side of the paddock. You tend to forget how good Ryan Fletcher is. A converted number 6, a very, very good number 9 in his own right. But to hold that ball up so well, and Jack Noble to hit that hole, well, worrying signs there if it's going to come again for the Devils' defence. I don't think the Devils will leak that one again.
This is a huge kick for Gallagher here. And he's just pushed that to the left. He does have a bit of purchase coming back left to right typically, but just pushes that one and the margin remains 6.
That would have been a big, big 2 points if they could get that one. It means that the Devils have got to score twice.
And we've seen it a bit. I'll tell you what, if the Butchers get up here and get another penalty, I don't know if the 2 fingers will go up quick enough from the bench. An 8-point buffer now with at any time in this next 30 minutes will be huge.
I think the first thing for the Butchers here is to complete this set. We've seen what happened last
Indeed,
time.
they've both done it on points.
Yep.
It's been something they haven't managed to do a bit this year, to be honest.
We've seen it a lot, haven't we?
But it's not even always been them. It's been a horror bounce. It's just, I don't know, the football gods haven't smiled at them on kick reception this year. I don't know what it is. But they were looking to get a complete on the end of this set. Gallagher. Well, for a guy who looked hobbled and buried, he's had plenty of purpose in his carries, the Gladiator, as they go left again there to dodge. Good contact there from Laurie. Pete McLeod will want that from Dylan Laurie. He's had a spell to start this half. We want him to bring some energy. Well, not too much. Sometimes that can be an issue as well, but the potential to really lift him from the bench, Dylan Laurie. There's Henderson now making his way up towards halfway.
What an inclusion to have Mick Henderson.
Well, I thought he was enormous in the major semi-final last week. A bit of, cometh the time, cometh the champion. And Pello, he reels that in. Makes it look easy in the end. And he's just ducked under that one. And now Pello again.
It's Callum Tatauer under there.
And look, again, there wasn't much in that, Johnny. It was Tony Pello just losing his footing, slipping a bit there. And Tatauer just skimming him on the top of the head, but certainly a penalty.
Definitely a penalty.
And that's the call that we have. I was going to say, Johnny, I spoke with Tommy Simpson, as you heard, for the podcast this week, and amid everything else about the haircuts and all the other stuff that you talk of with Tommy, huge rap he had on Hendo and what Hendo, the composure he's brought to this team over this latter half of the season. Just as a late pickup, you got to think Jared Costello counting his blessings to have him out there. He's like a second coach on the park there. He's won a premiership in this league with the Canaries and now a veteran presence in this side.
Especially with the absence of Siranen.
And that one's gone again, so back-to-back penalties. I think that one's just crept up a bit as well. Well, I think that's what it was. It was probably very much the bonus when you looked at a full-strength side. Jack Noble playing there tonight, but he's been in and out with some issues, and Damien Siranen not there, so early on you were thinking, how are they all going to fit? Now he's going back to your Riley Lords and these sorts of guys who... That just shows how valuable that run to the grand final was for the Butchers last year, Johnny. The fact that it gets to the big games, you can draw on guys that have played in the big ones as well. And the Devils, well, they haven't just played in them, they've won them. Defending premiers. Laurie now flat ball there for Blay. We don't see a lot of that in Dill Laurie's game. Caught him by surprise there. And now it's Rodriguez on the right. Flat ball for Dixon with a sweeping man. Pello skips to the outside. It's that man, Pello. And Johnny, you can see that coming a mile off. You see him on that sweeping line. But he just got to the outside of Dargan there.
They love the short side Western Suburbs, don't they? When they can see a little bit of numbers down that short side, the way that Pello swoops around and adds the extra numbers, it's good to see. It's beautiful to watch.
It's a pet play of them, and that's where we saw them really hurt the Butchers in their last clash over here next door at Parish Park a couple of weeks ago. Joseph Dixon in the front line can play before the line, he can play at the line, he can play after the line, he can run his own stuff. He asks a lot of questions of you as a back rower, so he's the perfect lead runner for someone like Tony Pello. They couldn't just let him go, they had to sink on him. And the space creator on the outside. Probably the right call there on this side, Simpson. You stay on your winger and try to trust your inside man, but Tony Pello, he's going to, dud hamstring or not, he's going to burn you on the outside if you show him any space. I don't care what level of footy he's that at.
Yeah, he's going, isn't he? He's just so quick. He can give him an inch, he'll take a mile. Tony Pello. Tell you what, Zach Green, if he's to get his first goal of today, this one is the one he wants to.
This will be a big one, isn't it?
Look, he's none from 2 with the boot so far. But he's got such a good kicking game. He'd be wanting this one to go over and level up the scores.
Prelim final, down by 2. Tough side for a right footer. This is just the type of one Zach Green will nail, I reckon. The tougher it is, the easier he makes it look typically, but no, waved away. But I was backing him in.
Do you give Mitchy Porter a go at the boot now? None from 3, Zach Green.
I don't think so. Well, I don't think he's right to kick. Zach Green's been your kicker all year. You back your kicker. I think you back your kicker. You don't. I don't think you can pull him out. He's been the kicker pretty much all year, Zach Green. He can nail him from just about anywhere. Distance-wise, I don't think you take it off him. I think he's your kicker come what may down the stretch this year. That's a good carry from Laurie.
Big metres.
And further to that, Johnny, Pete McLeod, the type of coach that will absolutely show faith in his guys, and he'll back them all the way to the end. Let him make the mistakes. If that's what happens, he'll back him as Leah Tingaga now and knock on in the play the ball. So there it is after points.
The contact from Luke Gallagher on Zach Blade, enormous there. He was a little bit rattled to get to his feet there, Zach Blade, to play the ball, and he's come up with the error.
And it's one of the first times we've seen, Johnny, this whole game. The Devils haven't been one out at all. They've had bodies around the footy, but that time Blade was just a bit on his own and didn't have support around him. And, you know, it's what you do. He's got the 8 on his back. It's the job to do. But Gallagher just saw him coming, and it was easy pickings for the Gladiator. And the mistake, the result, and the Butchers the chance to put the pressure straight back on. 14-12 the score, 24 minutes still to go. Plenty of time in this one to see where it goes. You just know, don't you, Johnny, with this much time to go, we're going down to an absolute thriller again.
Oh, we sure are.
These teams just know how to turn it on. Henderson now, 22 metres out. Johnson back on the inside for Gallagher. Well, would have been his bonnet. He's come out with Gallagher in this second half. Fletcher again on the left side, coming back with Dargan against the grain. Dargan can be dangerous from here.
He's been big today, Dargan, hasn't he, for the Butchers?
Johnson, flat ball, and he just got his line a little bit wrong there, Morris. He scored a try off that exact play in the first half, the opening try, but just didn't quite time it right there. And they'll go to Walsh. He's going to drop that on the toe, and it's taken a deflection.
6 again.
And that'll be 6 to go. And the ball out the back. I think Ryan Jackson will send him back to play the ball. And now they're just
a little bit of argy-bargy.
I don't know what was going on there. Jake
Walsh can give away a penalty here.
He looked like he was holding onto the leg. I'm not sure what he was doing there. I don't think he liked being picked up and dumped after the ball had left. But
the touchies come on, so we might listen into this, Mitch, and see what they got to say.
Lucky. What have we got there?
Honestly, mate, just 2 players. They're just holding each other on the ground. There's really nothing there. I reckon just talk to both captains, note it out. I haven't really got a penalty either.
I've got the penalty against Ware for inciting that, because he could have walked away and he's pushed him on the ground. Okay. That's what I've got.
Yeah,
have you seen? You're happy with that?
I agree with him.
All right. 21, Mitch.
So I think we are going to see the penalty go
against Western Suburbs. Tony Pello, the man to be called out.
It wasn't 6. Sorry? It was 6. Sorry.
We will just listen in.
Yeah, we got it.
6.
Zach Green.
Yeah, no, you're right. So he's trying to run back, get on side, and he's holding him. Okay, he's twisting, trying to get out of it, and then what's he supposed to do? That could cost us the try, could cost us the game. He's trying to get back on side.
All right, Mitch, I'll tell you what I've seen. Yep. What I've seen is the 2 players together. This player had the opportunity to go away. He's pushed him on the ground, and that's what the penalty for over here. That's what I've seen. He had the opportunity.
Following.
Will be the penalty there. We heard that.
Do you take the 2?
With a 2-point margin, I don't think so, Johnny. You've already got that 2-point margin. They are going to, and I'll tell you what, this is one of those decisions that...
Well, it gives them a 1-try lead here. And the way that Zach Green's been kicking it, He hasn't potted one yet, so you think the 4 points might just be enough to put them forward. But
This
it's
is the
going
one
to give
where we
them
know
the
who
ball
we
back.
go. We go in hindsight because we'll see. It's going to put a lot of pressure on this set. If they've come up here with this opportunity, they take the 2.
They must complete this next off
And
the
they end up
kickoff.
there, so it puts the pressure back on them. I'd have been tempted, Johnny, to keep going.
We've seen it a lot
But we're
this
split,
season.
so that's the decision the coaches are going to make. You know, that's the way it goes.
We've seen it a lot this season, especially with your Thirroul, your Western Collies, that when they've got an opportunity down here, they have been going for them that 2 points.
And the flags go up. I think that penalty there was a bit of a... You've got your version, I've got my version.
Yeah.
The truth lies somewhere in the middle.
Well, one touch,
I
he
don't
come
know
on
if
and said
Zachary-
there was nothing there.
I don't know if Zach Green could have got away there because I think Walshy was just clamping to his leg a bit. But
Ethan George onto the paddock for the Butchers, Mitch. We've seen him feature in the under-20s for the Dragons a little bit this season, so another one of those youngsters coming through the grades at Thirroul that Jarrett Costello's had to lean on with the absence of a few players.
indeed, well, the energy will be top of the list.
Yes.
That's what they want from a guy like Ethan George. I've seen him play some sensational first grade in this competition, Ethan George, so you're certainly not scraping the bottom of the barrel going to a bloke like him.
Definitely not.
Not out of place at this level at all. Gallagher putting his team on the back in this half. And Johnny, if you are making your case, what it does bring into play too is the Devils in this half, they can't level up with a penalty.
No.
It gives the Butchers that little bit
Yep.
of freedom if they
Yep.
need to down this end.
I'm waiting for Joel Johnson to start scooting out. This is the time where he
There it
goes
is.
20 minutes in.
And I think he had Rodriguez offside there, but he gave the pass to Dargan. And you're right, Johnny. He's sensing his moment here. There's one marker again, but he'll go to Walsh for the kick. He's going to kick it in here and look for the turf and make Pello bring it out from his own end. And, well, Tony Pello's going to get the footy if the opposition team. That's where you want him to have it.
You'd rather see him hold the ball there than anywhere else in the paddock, but we've seen him score some sensational tries from there throughout the season.
That's a good kick from Walsh, just on the back of that set. We talked about how important that set was. It couldn't have gone much better. They marched up the park. Good kick on the end of it.
Leah Tingaga off for West and big Marty Cramp on the paddock.
Here he comes, the Viking. Well, actually, these days I should probably call him the accountant.
Zach Blay off Kyle Lodge on, so a few interchanges here for the Devils.
That is the last tackle here. And Pello, the kick from dummy half. And Crosland taking his time with this one. And he'll use Tommy Simpson here.
Look at a bit of a high shot here on Simpson.
And that's a relieving one. It's
Big,
Look,
big.
they're tired. It's 60 minutes into the game. This is where those sorts of penalties occur. Just a lazy arm slung out there, but it can be so important. The Butchers, they were looking at doing it a bit tough, getting back on side there. It was a really, really good kick from dummy half there from Tony Pello.
I think we'll see the Butchers start to tire about 10 to go. I think West, as you've said a few times this season, they love the grind. They love this sort of football. They're going to be there the whole 80 minutes, West. We know that. I just tend to feel that the Butchers maybe get a little bit fatigued with the amount of football they've done the last few weeks, the tail end of this game.
Well, the Butchers love a grind as well, Johnny, as you say, but all things being equal, they both do. But we know how we sat here and cringed at some of the shots that both sides wore last week in that major semi. How tough a game that was. As Crosland's into the clear, goes off his left foot, Crosland.
That was Johnson darting out. That
It
got that
was
onto
Johnson.
Crosland.
And well held there from Crosland. I thought he was going to try the miracle, but he holds on to it. And, well, easy pickings there, Fletcher. Dylan Laurie just snuffs that attacking rate. In fact, it's Tony Pello. Don't know how I've mixed him up with Dylan Laurie there, but I have. Aaron Shop now crabbing his way back infield. But you were right, Johnny. Joel Johnson starting to make his presence felt. They go short side now. Fletcher just dropping that on the toe. He wanted to sit up. And I think he's had to push that dead there, Pello. He has. That's a brilliant kick from Fletcher.
Beautiful.
And a brilliant set from start to finish there from the Butchers after that penalty. Crosland, that was such a composed play, I've got to say. In the end, I thought he was going to try the miracle pass, and we see that so often.
You
But
see
he just
it.
held the ball, and they get an attacking kick on it 2 rucks later.
You see it at every grade of rugby league. When someone pushes through like that, one-on-one with the fullback, they tend to always try and push that ball. Hayden Crosland there held his nerve there, took it to the ground, and they've got the rewards for it from that, the Butchers.
As we said, just being in and around the footy, it's what we wanted to see. What we thought we'd need to see for the Butchers to get over the line in this one. That 4-point lead. And of course, that's the other thing the 2-point takes into play. Johnny, another penalty here. If it's another gimme, they can take the 6-point buffer very, very quickly. Nice ball there from Johnson on to Noble. And Henderson shapes open side, but his volleyballs it back this way to Dodge. Dodge pinching some extra metres there, and I think there's some numbers to the right if they go there. They have Walsh. And that's a great play for Tamari. Big play there from the back rower.
Huge.
Once he stuck the foot out, he had to get the regather, and he did. And I just thought there was some more space on that edge, Johnny, on that side.
It's not
sure
the
if
first
the kick
time.
was the play, and I think Jake Walsh has come in with a swinging arm there, and Pello just letting him know, and he was right in front of the touch judge. I think that's a bit of a silly one from Walsh.
A little bit of frustration
I
there, I tend
frustration
to feel from Walsh.
The kick. He came in and just, that arm, he just let it go right in front of the touch judge. It was never going to be anything other than a penalty there, so...
It's not the first time that Walsh has tried to put one through and it's had a deflection there.
It was well done from Tamari because it's always a gamble, the deflection, but he stayed on his feet, and now we see Mitch Porter coming from the field, and it's Michael Appleby coming on, so he hasn't been able to go the duration there, Mitch Porter, on that bung leg. He's toughed it out as long as he could, but he has had to have a spell, and we'll see the way they take shape. It looks like Hanbury to the centres on this side and Michael Appleby onto the wing.
Well, we seen when Hanbury went closer to the field in their last clash just over the road during the regular season that how important he was in that centre of the paddock. So, look, they're not losing a great deal with Mitch Porter coming off and Hanbury going into the centres.
We have to think Hanbury would have been playing on the wing, was playing on the wing as cover more for Pello, you would think, just given what he was carrying. But now it's ended up being a big decision, and it's one that's paying off, at least in this short term. As we see Rodriguez right to the line. That's a beautiful kick from Rodriguez. And we'll have to see what's happened there. I think, is he going to say no? The touch judge is coming back. On the run, I thought double.
It's a try.
No, they're going to say try.
Wow.
Going to be very hard for us to make a call on that without the benefit of a replay, Johnny.
Well, it looked like a bit of basketball or something in there in the goal line. But look, we've got an in-goal touch judge. We've got a sideline official. We've got a referee right there on the spot. We can only speculate. We can't have the right vision of if that try was a try or not. But isn't that a big decision in this game?
It is. But as you said, Johnny, it's much better view. I can't tell at all from where we were without the benefit of a replay. And in that corner where we're a little bit unsighted, I'm going to have to go with the referees on that one.
Look, depends what side of the camp that you're going for here.
Like the Butchers, I can't see much blowing up from those boys down there. So much of a muchness. And here we are again, Zach Green. You asked, do they consider giving Mitch Porter the tee? Well, they can't. Not an option. And as I said, I think if Mitch Porter was out there right now, we'd still see exactly what we're seeing. You've got to back him in. And interesting, I'm going to back him in again. Sorry, Pete McLeod, for the commentator's mock. I'm going to back him in from here.
I'm staying out.
16 all. The scene's set. We've seen him make so many clutch plays, Zach Green. There could be some rocks or diamonds in him, but we've seen him come up with some huge plays.
You're talking about last year's grand final?
Well, I'm talking about the first half, but I'm talking against Collegians this year with the match-winning field goal. Challenge Cup games. I've seen him win a lot of games, so I'm backing him in.
Across the face.
Across the face. Here we go. We're going head-to-head. Not for the first time, Johnny. It's a fair kick. And he's nailed it.
Well, if he was going to get any today, that's the one he wanted to get.
That was the one.
At the Western Suburbs crowd. Now they've got their side in front on the scoreboard. 18 points to 16. 13 and a half remaining. We've known all week this was going down to the wire.
They just deliver time and time again. As I was saying, Johnny, there's a couple he's missed, but that was a clutch one that had to go over. And Zach Green, he just willed that over then. Absolutely willed it over the post. And Rodriguez, that was a tough one too. And Ruskin and Laurie, there's some contact. Boys, they can just sense both these sides. It's either death or glory here. One can sense it slipping away, or a shot at that silverware at the end of this rainbow, as we see Lodge now tipping it on to Cramp.
Now that Wests are in front on the scoreboard, Mitch, do you feel they just lift? They're the sort of side that go off the back of this.
Whether they lift, Johnny, I'm not sure. I think they'll just keep going about their business. I think it's how it plays mentally on the Butchers here. Minor premiers, lost the major semi, the prospect of going out in straight sets, although every one of those chases on that left side is offside, but Zach Green, he finds touch with that. And that's a good end of that set there from Green. And I did say on the run this week, Johnny, in a really tight one down the stretch, I am leaning towards the Devils if it goes that way. Don't ask me why. I can't really make a compelling case why, but I just have a bit of that sense.
Well, the kicking game that they possess,
Indeed.
Zach Green, the field goals we've seen him pot to win matches, if it does go down to that, that's why you have to lean towards them.
And in the general sense, the kicking game, the number of kickers they have, Green obviously the primary one, but Rodriguez, Hanbury, Tony Pello, we saw at a dummy half before with a really good kick, so that makes it really hard. It really equips you to defend a lead down the stretch if you need to, and they have a 2-point lead here now with 12 minutes to go. The Butchers will need to find a level, and that's good contact there on Ruskin. I think it was Dylan Laurie again, the usual suspect. He's been on a mission since coming back into the game, Dylan Laurie. Ruskin and just loses his footing there, the veteran. Fourth tackle, so they've got one more in the bank. And Morris, that's a good expansive pass there from Johnson just to get them up the park there, Morris. And I think they'll look to Walsh here for the kick. He's on to the right of the ruck. And that's a spiral. This is a tough one. This will be a tough take. And he's done well there, Tony Pello.
He's phenomenal under the high ball, Tony Pello, isn't he?
He's certainly got better in that regard too with each passing season. And the mistakes in his game have almost completely... I don't want to put the mock now, but
they're zero.
The mistakes in his game have just been completely eliminated. It's why he's gone up a level this year. And for a guy that had been crook and was carrying an injury cloud, he's been close to the Devils' best so far in this one again, Tony Pello. He's got to be in Paul McGregor medal reckoning, you'd think.
Well, if he didn't miss as much
has
football...
missed a bit of footy here and there, so... But he'd be right up there. You'd think he's in there at dummy half again. Still probing Pello. Fletcher, though, awake to it. Makes a good tackle. And it is the last tackle. Green will kick. Well, that's a tough one as well. Shop. It's gone over his head. And I think he's had an air swing at it.
He hasn't got a hand on it.
I don't think he touched it. The Devils are trying to...
Oh, it has. It has.
Wow. Well, I thought it might be a bit of the Devils trying to bluff him into that one. But he has got a touch, Shop, and to be honest, I'm surprised he even had any sort of look at it with the spiral ball like that. The chase was a long way away from him. I don't want to be too critical of someone in that scenario because if it bounces awfully, we're on his case about that. But
what an important attacking set for the Devils this is, but also for the Butchers to hold them out here.
9 minutes 57 left on the clock.
This is a big 2 minutes, this.
So if it can become an 8-point margin, we've talked about how big that would be for the Butchers. Now it's the Devils looking to sniff that one out. And that's Martin just surrendering in that one. Rodriguez a dummy half. Green. Long ball with some space for Tamari off his left foot. Tamari still going, Tamari. Dragged down there. Johnson making an important tackle. Joel Ruskin again coming to finish that one off. Green back on the inside there for Lodge. Lodge, he's getting close as well. Desperation stakes here for the Butchers. Martin from short, and he had a runner go through, but there's space. And I think a runner went through, it'll be a penalty, yes. I thought that was the case.
Very lucky for the Butchers there, Mitch, that has been awarded a penalty because they were outnumbered on this left-hand fringe.
And I don't think Johnny Martin at 9 wanted a runner coming through then. I don't think he was up. Is that not found touch?
That has.
That's a huge touch finder.
Huge.
I was thinking, I don't think Johnny Martin needed it. I don't think he wanted a decoy runner there. I think he wanted the early ball there, and Rodriguez certainly wanted the early footy, but the penalty, and they're those moments that these things can spin on, Johnny.
Well, they wouldn't want to give away a penalty here now, the Devils, inside their own half.
And there we go, back to the inside there, Crosland. Gotta love the way Crosland's just been probing around the footy in that number 1. Johnson again. Well, as you said, Johnny, he might be saying, I don't want this to be my last 8.5 minutes in a Butcher's jumper, Joel Johnson. So, you know, he's going to put it all on the line. Mick Morris, perhaps the same scenario for him.
Joel Ruskin, another one.
Indeed. So there's a few out there. They won't have a trouble digging deep to find that motivation. They're bearing down on the Devils' line here. Fletcher dummies.
What
Good
about
tackle,
Dodge?
Dylan Laurie.
Dodge unmarked went through there.
I think he's letting her know about it too, Dodgy. And Ruskin I think that's the last tackle, though. I think that was the last tackle.
Yes.
It becomes a turnover.
Not a bad option there because they're so close to their try line. The Butchers can't afford to give away a penalty here, but you've got to think a repeat set was probably the right option.
Also, don't want to risk the 7-tackle set. So, give it a 50-50 play, see how we go.
They're gassed, the Devils, hanging around behind the ruck here. A few of their players got their hands on their heads.
That's Gallagher again with the shot. The Gladiator just throwing that body around. Hurst, and you're right, Johnny, we're seeing the Devils. They're all bunched behind the ball here. And Pello away from dummy half. There hasn't been much adventure at all in this set. The back five, though, really doing their best. Thirroul and Pello, interesting between two quality centres. We haven't seen a lot of them, either of them in the action, but a lot of it's been on this side closest to our position, Johnny, for both teams.
That's a good kick from Rodriguez.
I think it was Green, Johnny, because he's got a fair hoof on it. And now Simpson. Simpson steaming back onto it, Simpson. Well, that's a great carry from the winger. It was a good kick from Green, but we said they were just showing signs of fatigue. There, the Devils, we see Mick Morris earning his first spell, and he's getting a fair pat on the back there from Jared Costello there. And a monumental effort there with 6 minutes to go. He's taken him as far as he can get him. It's going to have to be someone else to get him home. But here it is, these moments, Johnny. 6.5 minutes to go, 2 points the margin. And Johnny, can I just bring up the fact that the score 18-16 to West, grand final winning score for West last year, and they're playing it in much the same fashion. The Devils to the front and the Butchers finishing with a wet sail.
Is it Groundhog Day here?
It could be a bit of Groundhog Day. They'll be hoping not the case, the Butchers, but that is the last tackle. And this is a high one, and it's more into no man's land. It's a good kick. And Pello, again, faultless in the back, and he's on the counter as well. He's into the clear, Pello. He'll be hard to stop from here.
They're not going to get him. They're not
going to get him. Away. Well, Tony Pello, he has booked his side's berth in the grand final. Tony Pello. That's what he can do to you. What hamstring, he says.
You just had that feeling that when he got that ball and seen a gap, he was off and gone.
He was. The kick, it was a tough one. It was a testing one. But he reels it in. He only needs half a gap. The defence converged. And he just had that yard of pace as we expected to street them all. Scores under the post, and that'll be it. The Devils, they're going to their grand final. They will defend their title. Or get the chance of doing that against Collegians. See Joel Johnson just protesting in the back field there about something, not sure what.
And look, there's a big contingent of Devils fans here. They won the second division grand final here earlier today, and the boys are over there holding that trophy aloft, just supporting their first grade side. But listen, let's just talk about Tony Pello, Mitch. The hamstring injury, how sick he's been, not seen much football. He's been flawless today at the back, absolutely sensational. Under the high ball, sensational. He has been the difference between these two teams, not only just because of that try, just the way he's got himself around the paddock, his support play to the others in the red and blue jumper out in the middle. If there was a man that was going to get these Devils over into grand final next week, Tony Pello was that man.
Indeed, it was like that, wasn't it? Come at the moment, come at the man. And as we were saying, in recent years, that X factor has come with a bit of rocks to go with the Diamonds in recent years. This year, it's just been all class, all quality all the way through, and we saw exactly that just there. Tony Pello, the match winner. We knew he was a match winner, proving it yet again. And so 24-16, 8 points the margin. 3 minutes 40 on the clock. The Devils, they'll have to try a short kick-off here and try to get the footy back to get an attempt to try to set up a grandstand finish, but they're going to need points here very quickly. And that's all on the ground. That'll be a tough take. And, well, and now it's Appleby on the charge. And the tackle made there by Noble, and it absolutely had to be made. So just like that, the Devils turning defence into attack again. Blay on halfway. Cramp takes it over halfway, met there by Ruskin. I don't think we'll see too much adventurous stuff here from the Devils. I think they'll try to get through the set, and you can bet Green, Rodriguez, one of those two will be looking to cannon it into touch.
Just the way
and tackle their way to the win in this one.
Just the way Dylan Laurie took that hit up there. It wasn't as that usual vigour that he has. He just sort of just got that one up there. Didn't want to make the error. They'll be looking for touch here, Zach Green.
And now that goes towards Crossan. He's kept it in, perhaps not wanting to risk the 7-tackle set. And wow, Fletcher under pressure there. Hanbury trying to pitch him of the footy there, one-on-one. Also, the Butchers, they're going to need to produce a miracle here with the footy. I doubt it's going to be Dargan one out from the ruck. We'll just see what fight's left in them here, Johnny, because we're going to need to see something special here. Shop away there, and it's just been a bit one out in this set. Not the play they're going to need if they want to set up the grandstand finish. And again, it's one man off the ruck, so the Butchers really not showing a lot in this set. Fletcher, dummy, second man now onto Walsh, and well read there by Martin. I think
Very
it was.
well
No,
read.
it was
Zach
Green, the 5'8". And now it's to Tower. Well, we know he can come up with a clutch play. Back on the inside for Henderson. He's got support on the inside in Fletcher. And and there it is, Rodriguez coming back to it. Well, if he had a scene back on the inside, he had Fletcher looming in support. But he was getting there a bit slowly, Fletcher, and you have to think with the time on the clock, would have been all economical anyway, would have been purely the scoreline. Gallagher, though, he's not finished. And he's coming again, Gallagher.
Going to
Now
see a
Pello's
penalty
coming
here.
in.
Going
We
to
are
see a
gonna
penalty.
one.
A little bit of frustration there, Luke Gallagher.
It
Knowing
was.
the game has gone.
He's been right into it. We're going to see a bit of it there still. And I'll tell you what I'm doing now in this situation, Johnny, if I'm Pete McLeod.
Tell him.
I'm getting my man in yellow, saying go and stand 30 metres away if you have to. I'm not losing any of you from a grand final for doing something silly. And with 52 seconds left on the clock, it would be a tough pill to swallow. So Green will look for touch. And you do sense, Johnny, 30 seconds to go, the Devils moving on to seek there, and you do sense a feeling of a bit of an end of an era, like you said. Joel Johnson, his last game, Joel Ruskin, perhaps the same. The likes of Mick Morris playing again seem slim as well. Even Callum Tatower and these sorts of guys, so it'll be a tough, Mick Henderson as well, so it'll be a tough pill to swallow. They were desperate to get back there and get some redemption in that grand final, but it won't be the case this time around.
What's been impressive for Wests? No Wade Stanford to really hold that middle up. He's going to be a big inclusion next week.
And Rodriguez, he kicks it up to near where we are, and he puts the arm up. They're off to the grand final, Johnny. The Devils' premiership defence, it survives another week. And well, each of these games just continues to deliver, Johnny, and you have to think this grand final in a week's time, it's going to be one for the ages.
Yeah, I think it will, Mitch. We've seen an absolute ripper last year. 2019 is going to be bigger and better. Collegians v Western Suburbs. Matchups all over the paddock. Mouth-watering clashes. But commiserations to the Butchers. The minor premiers bowing out in the last step before the grand final. But what a game of football we've seen today.
Indeed we did, but at the end, in the wash-up, 24-16, the Devils over the Butchers. They will go on next week to face Collegians in what will be an epic grand final battle. Johnny, thanks for joining me for the call. I've been Mitch Jennings from the Illawarra Mercury. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you out there next week at Wynn Stadium. It'll be one for the ages.